Normally we do a lot of segments for women, being a show about plastic surgery, but every once in a while we got one for the men. And ladies, don't tune out just yet, because you know how guys are, like sometimes they don't go to the doctor, and you might be able to help out a significant other. But this is actually a very hot topic. I'm kind of surprised we haven't done this one. This was about low testosterone in men, the effects that it has, and when you might consider treating it. So, and I'm really surprised we haven't talked about it. This is actually all in the news all the time, and I don't know. Maybe because we always focus on the plastics and stuff. And
yeah, maybe.
So I write for one of the local papers, and this was like a kind of a, I don't want to say it was requested, but it's like one of the topics that was thrown out there. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll write an article. I was like, this would be a great segment for the show.
I know a lot of men are getting on testosterone earlier and earlier. Like my dad took it like in his older age, but I know guys that take it like
like younger.
Yeah,
it happens. Well, and it's important, and we're going to go over all this, but I mean, you don't want to take it if you don't need it, because there are downsides.
Right.
So there is a process to it. All right, so when you're in your 20s, you got that limitless energy, obviously, and as we all know, that starts to wane as we get older. But in men, sometimes, you know, they get hit harder, and oftentimes guys don't want to go to the doctor. They'll be like, oh, it's just stress, or it's my job, or, you know, maybe I'm just getting older, right? But sometimes it is a medical reason. You know, as we all know, we have hormones that affect our bodies. And sometimes low testosterone can be the results of why, you know, men, as they are getting into their 30s, 40s, 50s, or older, don't quite feel the same.
Right.
So, you know, first off, what does testosterone do? Well, I mean, I have to admit that when I was doing the review for this segment, or when I was writing my article like a week ago, even I didn't realize how many different things testosterone does. Because we all think of it as like the sex drug, right? You know, it drives your sexual drive, and it causes, you know, sperm development and all that. But it actually influences almost every body system that we have. So increasing muscle mass and bone density, that one's pretty known, I guess. Increases your red blood cells, regulates body fat distribution, okay? Yeah. Blood sugar control, I didn't know that one. Cardiovascular health, mood, knew that one. Cognitive function, didn't know that one. And motivation. And so, you know, when your testosterone gets off, and you can actually have all kinds of symptoms.
Right.
Right? It's not just, I'm not interested in, you know, sexual activity. I mean, it could be all kinds of stuff. So obviously these levels are highest when we're in our teens and our 20s, but when you hit 30 years old, your testosterone starts to drop. And it's not a lot. It's about 1% per year, okay? So, but that stacks up over the decades, and, you know, a 20% drop from, you know, 30 to 50, which I am right now, I mean, that's pretty significant. And in addition, it doesn't always drop in the same in everybody. You know, some people it drops more. Also with hormones, sometimes people are more or less sensitive to them. So there's like a big variation in how people might respond to testosterone. Is the building on fire? Can you guys hear that? There's a big difference in how men might respond to, you know, low testosterone. And again, when people have symptoms, it can kind of run the gamut. There's a lot of different things that can happen. But some of the most common things that people talk about is persistent fatigue, decreased strength and endurance. So those, you know, kind of make sense. Weight gain, depressed mood, decreased sexual drive, and decreased motivation and concentration issues. But, you know, then it gets kind of cloudy though, because those are pretty basic symptoms. You know, they're not really specific. And so the difficult part comes in trying to determine, you know, is this really low testosterone versus... Or is it
just somebody being unhealthy?
Yeah, it could be a lot of... You're right. It's a lot of different medical issues it could be. Because there are a lot of things that can cause those. So poor sleep, like if you don't get a lot of sleep, you can have the same exact symptoms. Increased stress, you know, if you have like a really stressful job. Thyroid issues can also give you the same thing. And then depression's the other one. You know, if you're clinically depressed, you can have these symptoms, and it can mimic the issues that when your testosterone is low. So all of this boils down to if you're a guy and you're having these symptoms and you're in that kind of age bracket. So I would say over 30. I mean, most people, do you know people in their 20s taking testosterone? I don't. I mean, I know a lot of people that are older than taking it, but I haven't heard of people in their 20s. But, you know, if you're in your 30s and you're having these symptoms, the smartest thing to do is go see your doctor.
Yeah, get that blood work done.
Because I think, and maybe you know more about this, I kind of feel like there's these low-T pop-ups that may or may not be run by doctors. Is that?
Like a pop-up, like a pop-up shop?
Like a pop-up med spa kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wellness. I could have sworn I've seen some of those. Well, and Brent, I feel like you're about to weigh in. Have you seen these pop
I
up?
have a question.
Okay, go ahead. What's your question?
What about like if guys are taking like steroids? Like what's the difference?
Yeah, so anabolic steroids would also be a form of testosterone. Now that's going to be a lot different than if you're replacing your testosterone. I don't know the specifics of.
It's like I think it's like a really
anabolic
dose.
Steroids. Yeah, I think
it's
that's
a really heavy dose of testosterone.
Yeah, in general, taking anabolic steroids is a bad idea.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you very specifically.
I'm trying to think of that one that people used to take when I was in high school.
There's a name for it?
Yeah, they had a name for it.
Is it like a street name or is it like a legit medical?
No, it was a name of the drug.
The roids.
Yeah.
Roids.
That's what people call them, at least in college, the frat guys that I know of.
Yeah, taking the roids.
I forget
Wait, you
what
have
it's
hemorrhoids?
called.
No, like steroids. Oh, okay.
No, there was a brand name of
There's a brand name one.
thing that guys would take, and I remember, like, I just remember them being
The
able to
steroids?
take it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget
I knew
what
people
it's
that took
called.
steroids too, but I don't remember them calling a certain name. Obviously, I never took steroids.
It was a brand name.
Huh?
It was a brand name.
brand name.
Or
Was it-
something, or a name of the medicine or some type of. What?
Andro.
Is it Andro?
No, it was something else.
I don't know. See if you can come up with it. So, yeah, if you are a guy, though, and you think your testosterone is low, it's far and away the best thing to do is go and talk to your doctor, because what they really need to do is they need to take a really detailed history, and they need to figure out if your symptoms are coming from something else. Because, again, you don't want to take testosterone extra if your testosterone levels are normal. So there's a couple ways that they're going to go about this. They're going to take a detailed history, make sure that depression's not an issue, potentially check things like your thyroid, ask about your sleep habits, your stress. But then it boils down to they are going to test your testosterone levels.
Yeah.
So testosterone fluctuates a lot. Highest levels are usually in the morning, so they typically take a morning testosterone level. And what the criteria is, and this is where it gets kind of great too, because I was looking at the differences in testosterone levels, by decade, like 20s, 30s, or 40s. Mm-hmm. The ranges are enormous, but basically there's like a floor, right? And so if your testosterone falls below 300 nanograms per deciliter and you have symptoms, that generally meets the criteria for you have low T.
Right.
So they do oftentimes take a repeat test though, because again, testosterone can fluctuate. So, if you came in at a 295, they'd probably say, well, come check it, and who knows, and maybe the next day it's 400 and it's not actually low. But if your testosterone really is low, there are a lot of options for testosterone replacement therapy. And I haven't taken these personally. It's not something I've done. But if you talk to people that have done it, they say it's an absolute game changer.
Right. Yeah.
If their testosterone is actually low and they're getting the symptoms from it, taking testosterone is like flipping a light switch. Mm-hmm. And I could see how that happens. When something like that starts to go down, it's usually not you falling off a cliff, right? It's like the boiling the frog in a pot of water. You don't put them in boiling water. It's like you heat it up gradually.
Yeah.
And so the same thing would probably happen if your testosterone was gradually getting lower. It's not like you go from feeling great to like terrible. It's like just over time you feel a little bit
you wake up and realize.
Yeah, it's like,
3
geez,
years
man,
ago,
like what happened to me? I
different.
can't even get out of bed.
Yeah.
So the people that get it replaced say it's an absolute game changer. And there's a lot of ways to do it. There's like topical gels, which can be done either daily, weekly, or bi-weekly. The one I always hear about is the pellets. Again, I haven't.
For rabbits?
No, like they're injectable pellets. They put them under your skin. Yeah, it's like a little needle, and they inject it under your skin, and it's like slow release. I've heard of people, or I know people that are using those. And then apparently there's nasal sprays nowadays.
Interesting.
And of course, if you do start testosterone replacement, it is important to continue following up with your doctor to get your levels checked. Because you don't want it to go up to like 2,000 or something crazy.
Yeah.
Because there are risks for taking testosterone. Most of the common risks are pretty minor. So the most common things are increased red blood cells, which makes sense because it stimulates red blood cell growth. Acne, that makes sense. Remember like when in college, like all the steroid pumpers would have like zits all over them?
Yeah, all over their backs.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, I remember that. So acne, fluid retention's another one. There's two other like side notes with the side effects or potential issues. There is a lot of debate about taking testosterone replacement and cardiovascular health because there were some early studies out there that said that the risk of cardiovascular events went up if you took testosterone. However, that is now in question because some of the newer studies actually say the opposite. They say that if you're at risk for cardiovascular events and you have low testosterone and you replace it, you're actually less likely to have issues. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when something like that, when you have studies that are, contradicting each other, almost always I find that the truth lies somewhere in the middle. It probably doesn't have that whole lot of effect because you got one study that says it helps and one that says it hurts. The last thing to note is prostate cancer. So although testosterone does not increase the risk of you getting prostate cancer, if you have prostate cancer already and you take testosterone, it'll grow faster, which is bad. So like if you were, say, 50s or 60s, thinking about starting testosterone replacement, they most likely would check a PSA, the prostate stimulating antigen.
Okay.
I really had to dig deep for that one. I'm not a urologist. So that is an important thing to know. But yeah, I mean, kind of the summary on this one is, testosterone replacement therapy isn't for everyone, but if you truly have low testosterone and you have symptoms, replacing it can be a game-changing event,
Yeah.
So, and I hear the same thing with like some of the estrogen and stuff. I don't know as much about those.
Yeah, there's blockers too.
For what? Testosterone?
For estrogen. And
estrogen, yeah.
And testosterone. And
females, right, yeah.
like
Yeah, there are,
when
yes.
they're not balanced correctly.
Right, because you don't want to get like the man boobs. Nobody likes man boobs.
Nobody wants that.
Yeah, nobody likes
You
that.
might, because then you can take them off.
Right, I can take them off, yeah.